Welcome back to The Handmade Way, where we're all about crafting independence one skill at a time, and lately I've been diving deep into preserves, from jams to chutneys. And today is no exception. So if you've seen any of the other videos on the channel, we've had loads of blackberries. It is blackberry season in the UK for collecting blackberries, and we've had loads of pears from our father-in-law, who's got a seemingly very productive pear tree in the garden this year. We've been making pear wine, which is bubbling on the side as we speak. We made pear jam in the last video. So today, obviously, we're going to combine those two together and we're going to make a pear and blackberry jam. There's probably a lot of people wondering why we're not making a hedgerow jam yet if we've got loads of blackberries. It's because the haw-berries or hawthorn berries and the rose hips and things in our local area aren't quite ready yet. So if you do want to see us make a hedgerow jam, do make sure you subscribe and all that so you don't miss the next video. You'll find the full ingredient list in the description and pinned comment. For this recipe, we're using a simple 2:1 ratio of blackberries to pears. This will make around 5 300-gram jars, which means weighing out 800 grams of blackberries and 400 grams of pears. The blackberries get a good soak in salted water first. That draws out any little bugs and helps the leaves and bits float away. Then rinse them really thoroughly under the tap because nobody wants salty jam. For this batch, I'm blitzing the berries for a smoother texture, which my kids prefer, though it does cut the yield a little, so if you don't mind a chunkier jam, just leave them whole. Now onto the pears, and this bit brought back some painful memories. So if you watch the pear jam video where we peeled, cored and chopped 3 kilos of pears, and I lost the will to live, you'll be pleased to know we are deliberately only doing 400 grams of pear today, which is about 5 or 6 pears. So hopefully this will be a lot less painful. For coring, I use a simple apple corer and then just a potato peeler for skinning. It's quick, easy, no fancy gadgets needed. I have linked, however, the exact tools that I use down in the pinned comment. And once they're peeled and cored, I just rough chop the pears since they're going to be mashed down later anyway. We'll also need the juice of 1 whole lemon. Bottled concentrate works fine, but I just find fresh is best. The lemon balances out the sweetness and helps the jam keep longer by adding a little extra acidity. For the sugar, I'm using 600 grams, which works out to be about 50% of the fruit weight. Because pears are already so sweet, if we pushed it to up to 60% or more, which is what I usually do, I think the fruit flavour would get lost and you'd just end up with almost a sugary syrup. Add the pears to the pan and cover them with the lemon juice plus 200 ml of water to help them start breaking down. I don't add too much water because the pears release a lot of the juice on their own already, and otherwise you'd be waiting forever for the mixture to reduce. Set the heat to medium and give them the occasional stir for about 10 minutes, and if you can, try not to do this right in the middle of family dinner time. It gets a little bit chaotic on the hob. We've got sterilising going on, we've got pear cooking going on, we've got rice cooking going on for dinner. That's a busy hob. Once the pears have started to soften, grab a masher and break them down into smaller chunks. You might wonder, why am I blitzing the blackberries but mashing the pears? Well, the blackberries turn really silky smooth when they're blitzed, but the pears are so soft anyway that blending them just makes like a puree. So leaving them slightly chunky actually gives the jam a really nice soft texture. Now we're on the home stretch. Pour in the blitzed blackberries and then gradually add your sugar, about a third at a time, so it dissolves evenly and doesn't clump. Once it's all mixed in, bring the pan up to a rolling boil. Now, like with most jams, as you're doing this, you'll notice a bit of scum forming on the surface. Totally harmless. You can skim it off if you want a clearer finish, or leave it if you're feeling lazy. Because this is quite a wet jam, and learning from my earlier experiment with pear jam, I'm going to let this one reduce by about half, stirring regularly. Once it's reduced and it's bubbling away, I check that it hits 105 degrees centigrade, and then I start doing my plate checks to check for set. I remember responding to a comment on the chili jam video a little while ago where they weren't too sure how to tell when it had hit its set point. And obviously you've got your thermometers, you've got your plate saucer test that you can do. But you can also just, like, particularly if you made the recipe more than once, there's a feel that the jam gets as you're stirring it. There's like a sort of certain point where it hits a level of resistivity. You're like, right, okay, that's thickened now, and that will probably pass a wrinkle test, or it's getting close to its set point. If it fails a plate test, don't worry, just put the plate back in the freezer, give the mixture another 10 minutes, and then pull the plate out and give it another go. And in my case, after a few plate tests, we finally got a good wrinkle. Take the jam off the heat and let rest for 10 minutes. And there we have it, our homemade Blackberry and Pear Jam, beautifully set and ready to enjoy. I'd love to know what you think. Would you make this recipe as is, or would you tweak it with your own twist? Drop me a comment below, I always enjoy hearing your ideas. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep crafting independence, one skill at a time.